Welcome to the PivotBoss Masters Q&A, and thank you for joining me today. If you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Frank Ochoa, and I am also known as Pivot Boss. I wrote a book called Secrets of a Pivot Boss, which has been basically a text that has been universally renowned here throughout the world for people just loving it, and that makes me super happy. I worked a whole lot on putting out the best book I could to really help traders. And it took me 18 months to complete that project. But once I was done, and once I saw what real floor traders thought about it, what real hedge fund managers and real institutional traders thought about it, I knew I had something. And once those market professionals really believed in what I had here, it was an easy call that the broader retail traders would love it as well, and that was definitely the case. And that's the type of training that I'll be bringing here to PivotBoss Masters. So for those of you that are already PivotBoss Masters members, thank you so much for being part of PivotBoss Masters. As you know, we have our 6-week live training event coming up. And for those of you that are members, you know this is rare. This is a rare event. This does not happen very often. The last time we had training that was this intensive was 3 years ago. Everything since then has been 3-day sessions, 5-day sessions, and the like. But this is a 6-week live training event here that includes all of our core training and more, and it also introduces our proprietary training as well, which is going to be new to PivotBoss Masters. So we're going to add things like our PivotBoss pivots, our PivotBoss bands, the ADR method, and PivotBoss PIMA method, and all of these are PivotBoss proprietary approaches that include tools and concepts and techniques, indicators that all lend themselves to really attacking the market in so many different ways. Whether you're a scalper, a day trader, a swing trader, investor, it doesn't matter. These tools, these techniques can help you in any time frame. So that's what I'm doing here, is really just kind of going over what is coming up for you members, and also for you non-members. If you'd like to be a part of this, then this is a great time, because as I just mentioned, this is a very scarce event here. We do not offer this type of intensive training often, because we'd already done it before and we had archived it and put it on the Masters dashboard. So you still have access to all of that content that's archived as well. What we're going to be doing this time around is kind of reorganizing all the content, going back through all of the various concepts and adding more concepts as well. And then we're going to be introducing the proprietary training. So just to sum up really quickly, this is a 6-week live training event that begins next Monday. It begins Monday, April 18th. So right here you can basically see this is when we're starting things off. We're going to be starting things off at 3 p.m. Central each day. So right when the market closes, we'll start the classroom, we'll open it up, and then we're going to get going with the concepts that we're going to be teaching that day. And then the next morning, we'll invite you into the trading room from 8 to 11 a.m. So for those of you that do sign up and become new members, you're also going to get access, 2 months access to our live trading room, which is the PivotBoss Premium Trading Room. And this is yours free for 2 months. And so if you are currently a premium member, but not part of Masters, then I will comp you 2 months of the trading room moving forward. So really, this fee to you will be much lower, because you're getting comped a couple of months here. So you're actually going to be paying $7.95. So that's huge. When you're talking about a 6-week live training event for under $1,000, and all of this is going to be archived at the dashboard, and then more content is going to be provided as time goes on. I mean, that's an amazing offer. Adding to that this is a lifetime membership, so any training that we conduct like this moving forward is all yours for free, including all of our proprietary tools that we create. So for those of you that have been Masters members, this 6-week live training event is yours free. You've already paid in. That's fantastic, and I love to do that for you. And it's really, I'm doing this for you. And for anyone else who wants to join at this time, then this is a fantastic time to join, because you're going to get a fantastic introduction into how we do things at PivotBoss Masters, including the theory we use, the analysis, and the execution. And so if you look down here, this is the core training. So what I wanted to do in this session was really tell you about the curriculum and the itinerary moving forward. So beginning next week, April 18th through the 22nd here, we're going to start our core training. And our core training will consist of the first 2 weeks of the 6-week live training session. And during those 2 weeks, we're going to have very intensive training sessions here, generally between 90 minutes and 2 hours per session. So between 3 and 5 generally, p.m. Central. So after the market closes for about an hour and a half to 2 hours each day, we're going to go through and grind through a bunch of these topics. So you can see next Monday, we're going to hit you with theory, and we're going to be on auction market theory, foundational market concepts that every trader should know, market phases and price structure, and that kind of sets up everything for what we're going to see the rest of the time. On Tuesday, we're going to talk about algorithmic and program analysis and trading tendencies, and that's going to start us up for how we approach the rest of our analysis moving forward. Because as we see the market through the eyes of the algos, we then understand which price levels are important and why, and we're able to reveal those hidden areas of support and resistance through a lot of the tools that we use, including the proprietary tools as well. Tools like PivotBoss Pivots, PivotBoss Bands. Those are tools that help us identify the underlying hidden areas of support and resistance and targets that the market's playing toward. And so that's what we're going to teach in this training. We're going to start this off, our analysis portion, with our algorithmic and program trading tendencies. Then we're going to move through price-based analysis, a couple of days of volume-based analysis. We're going to do pivot-based analysis as well, including Camarilla pivots. A lot of folks really like it. They're very popular among a lot of traders. We're also going to cover that. And then on week 2, this is going to be a fantastic start to the week, because the first couple of sessions are going to be very intensive training on intraday analysis. So all the various intraday analysis forms of analysis that we can do on an intraday basis, and all the things we look for, from using basic indicators to jumping into the footprint chart and reading order flow. A lot of that's going to be done in those first couple of sessions. And then from there, as we work on throughout the rest of the week, we're going to work on execution, from understanding risk and order flow analysis to entry techniques and basic and advanced trade management techniques. So in and of itself, before, this was basically the essence of what Masters was for $9.95. And now this time around, we're going to be doing a 6-week training session that actually adds all of the proprietary training that we've been looking for. So for those of you that recall the holiday letter that I wrote at the end of December, I basically mentioned that coming up, after we open the trading room, we were going to come out with 4 different modules, one for PivotBoss Pivots, one for Bands, ADR method, and PIMA method, and that's what this is. So this training will be unleashed, 1 module per week. And what we're going to do is each day, again, at 3 p.m. Central, we're going to come on and we're going to work through what the method entails, the concepts, the tools in that method, and then how to identify the setups and tendencies that make money. And then we're going to actively prospect for opportunities using scans and those things. So this is going to be fantastic the way that we've structured it. After the 6-week training is done by May 27th, your heads should be swimming with so much fantastic content that you're just ready and eager to continue to use in the markets. And all of this training will be recorded and archived at your member dashboard, so you'll always be able to refer back to it. Not only that, we're not going to be putting it out day 1, day 2, day 3. We're going to be breaking up into their subsections as well, so that if you want to know how to use the 211 scaling technique, then you can go right to that technique instead of flipping all the way through all of the advanced or basic trade management techniques. If you want to know about the footprint charts, then you don't have to go through 2 days of intraday analysis videos. You can just go directly to those charts. So we're going to pull out those sections so that it's much easier to retrieve and go back and retrain on those sections that you want additional training. So basically, this core training is set up in a way that basically all traders that want to be consistently profitable in the market, all traders are able to utilize this information and utilize it in any time frame. So it doesn't matter if you're a scalper, it doesn't matter if you're a swing trader, it doesn't matter if you like to manage your IRAs or manage your 401k, it doesn't matter if you use monthly charts. All of these concepts are scalable, and that was by design. My background is in creating algorithms and programs and automated trading systems that just trade on the market. So a lot of my research has come based off of developing tools for traders. And at first, those were tools for us that we used at our institution. And then from there, we deployed those on the market. So by the time I left the last, my former business or my former company, we had a wall of computers that were trading the market based on all of these various techniques that we had created over time. That's basically what we're doing here. These two techniques, these two core training weeks right here, help you engage the market in any time frame. And these are core concepts that all traders must know. And then from there, the last 4 weeks here is really tailored toward basically our proprietary tools that I specifically designed to help me find opportunities in any market and any instrument. And that's why I'm so passionate about what we've done here. It's because it was really born out of laziness. You know, the old saying is, if you want something to be done faster, tell a lazy person to do it, because they're going to figure out the quickest, laziest path to accomplishing that goal. And that's kind of something that I did here. I mean, I'm not a lazy person, but by any stretch of the imagination. But what I wanted to do was, I didn't want to learn techniques for intraday trading, and then I didn't want to learn a whole different set of techniques for swing trading. I didn't want to learn a whole different set of techniques for investing. I didn't want to learn a whole different set of techniques for trading futures versus options versus whatever. I wanted to create one approach, one universal approach that allowed me to trade any market I wanted, and that's what this approach is. And I call it the PivotBoss method. And that's an approach that we use in the PivotBoss trading room as well. And for those of you that have followed my analysis and my videos and those types of things, or have been a premium member for some time, you know that we have accuracy with our levels and our price direction that is just unmatched, I believe, in the market. The accuracy with which we identify these levels and are able to engage these levels is phenomenal. And so that's exactly what PivotBoss Masters is about. It's about teaching this approach. And one thing we're doing right here is we're going to do it for 6 weeks, starting Monday. For those of you who are members, this is free. For those of you who want to join, this is a risk-free offer. Risk-free offer. It is $9.95, which is a fantastic price for this. Just try to find a 3-day course that's less than this. You know, that's tough. You know, if you go out there for somebody else, they'll charge you $1,500 for a 3-day course, and you know most of what they're talking about. This is different, and you're getting 6 weeks of training. It's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you're not happy, you get your $9.95 back. You're going to get 2 weeks of our live trading room. So that's 3 hours every morning from 8 to 11 every morning, Central Time. So add that to the 90 to 120 minutes that you're having at the end of the session for training, and that's about 5 hours of training per day over the next 6 weeks. That, for this price, for this risk-free offer, is just, it's unheard of. But that's the way I operate, because my goal is to get this out to the most people I can, because this is something that I wish I had when I started. I wish I had these tools when I started, because we all know how tough it is to get over that initial hump. And sometimes you need to get it directly from someone who's done it. And that's exactly what my experience has led me to right now, is building all of these tools so that I can bring it to you in a great way. And again, all of this right here, you get all future training free. So this is really the gift that keeps on giving. So I really encourage you, if you are not a Masters member, this is the best time to join and get on board with this training, because this is training that doesn't come around often. The last time I did something like this was 3 years ago. The next time I do something like this may be 3 years from now. Who knows? But right now, this is the time to get in. If you're at all interested, it's a risk-free offer. So that's basically the idea here. Was I wanted to get this out there, tell you exactly what was going on, give you a better picture about what's coming up. And then from there, if you want to engage, again, risk-free offer, and you can go to this join page here and scroll down to the bottom, and you can get a little bit more information about what's coming up and what dates and all that, and join. Yeah, I see a question here. Thank you for coming out. Which platform is required to be training the Masters? I live in the UK and we do not have access to Thinkorswim. Any other platform can be used that you can think of. Thank you very much for that question. We do have multiple platforms that we are currently have code for that I'll be posting more resources for. Right now, we support platforms for Thinkorswim, Market Delta, OmniTrader, Visual Trader, and have some code for eSignal as well. There's currently NinjaTrader code that is currently in development. As a matter of fact, I've been developing this code for the last, I think it's been 2 weeks now. And my hope is that by the time we get to the proprietary training, which is week 4, we have some NinjaTrader indicators to work for PivotBoss purposes. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this core training right here, all of this is done with standard indicators that most of you already have on your platforms. This is standard data stuff. So, this is volume profiling, for example. Many of you may have volume profiling regardless of your platform. Price-based analysis, that's just price, it's just a chart. Other stuff like pivots, these are, pivot-based analysis. Those are things where I could give you some code as well, but there are platforms with some of those code snippets. Intraday analysis will be things like VWAP or the mid and other key levels as well. So those are things that are most common. And then down here, when you get to entry techniques and trade management techniques, those are just techniques. So those are just things that we utilize regardless of platform. Order flow is specific to footprint. So that's something that you might need a footprint chart, but at the same time, you have access to the trading room. And in the trading room, you can see my screen, you hear my voice for all 3 hours. I don't sit there and chat. I don't chat. I talk the entire time. You can see my screen the entire time. And then you chat with me, and then boom, I hit it up on the screen, and we do, we perform the analysis and do the stuff right there live. So for those, I have a lot of folks in my premium trading room that do not have footprint charts, but they got mine right there. And they're able to see it or ask me to flip to a chart if they want to see more information on it. So right now, I'm looking to add NinjaTrader. I'm looking to build out the eSignal. We've got the other platforms pretty much locked and loaded. And then I have others that are on the short list here that other traders have wanted, from Sierra Charts to Rancho de Nero to others. So that's one of my goals, is to make this method universally applied to any platform as well. And so I'm going to continue to build out tools for that as well. So hopefully that helps answer your question a little bit. But for the most part, especially during this training right here, this can all be done without any special platform for the most part. And then down here is where we get into the proprietary tools, where we're in constant development and building and refining these tools for new platforms. Thank you for the question. So if you come down here, it just gives you a little bit more information about each of these things. A 6-week event. We're going to be starting at 3 p.m. Money back guarantee, 2 weeks access to the trading room, which is usually $99 a month. Again, a great fee. That's a lot cheaper than the market average. Includes proprietary tools, and this is lifetime. So you're going to get all training moving forward as well. So a great deal. Let's see. Hey, how's it going? Hey, great to see you, Abdullah. How's the weather in Kuwait? Continue with the previous question. I'm trading on an MT4, so can I use your codes in MT4? That's a great question. MT4 is another one that I've gotten questions about, and that's on the short list for another wave, and I'd like to investigate putting these indicators for MT4. As of right now, not yet, but it is on the short list along with the others like Sierra Chart, Rancho de Nero, and those. So MT4 is one of those as well. So if you come down here, you can see, again, this is where I really knew right away when I have something. Because obviously I'm one of those folks that have really just kind of almost in a laboratory, and I don't come out, and all I do is trade and look at every tick of the market. I build tools that help me identify opportunities. That's what I was basically built to do when I did back from college. So when I was in college, I started trading my student aid money and my student loans, and I got pretty good at it for my first 2 or 3 years. And then by the time I got to my last year in college, I was hired by a trading firm and to be in their trading room, and that's where I basically cut my teeth on the proprietary tools, out building algorithms, helping to create and refine trading platforms and building tools, institutional grade tools that we eventually implemented, with managed futures funds and algorithms that just automatically traded the market. So that's really, how my path that I've been pushing on forward. But I've always done this with a way that, I didn't really know what other traders really thought about what we were doing, because I was just knowing that we were doing some great work, we were creating some great tools, and we were getting great results with what we were doing. When I get tools into the hands of real pros that have been in the markets for 20 or 30 years, and then they say, wow, this is phenomenal, that's when you know you have something. For example, this quote right here from my buddy John, former CBOT and CBOE trader. I created the PivotBoss bands, and I had never met him before. He says, hey, I've been on the floor for 30 plus years, and I've never seen a tool this powerful. That's when you really know you have something, is when you have real pros. I have other pros that were on the floor of the NYMEX or the COMEX that were saying, hey, I traded next to Mark Fisher. I traded next to some of these big folks. And I'll tell you that the concepts that you wrote about in your book line up as good or better. So that is fantastic to hear that from real pros. And that's why I really, really believe that the average everyday retail trader can really get a leg up with what we're doing. Hey, David, how's it going? Great to see you from the Netherlands. I'm a mastered member. How do I log into the daily, end-of-day session and the trading room? So, David, we're going to, once the link is provided, it's going to be in the membership dashboard. So go to your master's dashboard, and when you log into the dashboard, you'll have the news section, and at that news section, we're going to put on the link, and it'll be a weekly link that changes every week, very similar to how we do it in the premium trading room. And when you click the link, you jump into a room just like this. It's the same thing, and then we go from here. So basically, when we're live, usually I'm sharing windows like this, and then we're getting in the market, and you can see exactly what I'm doing here. Or I'll bring up Thinkorswim like this, and now we're in Thinkorswim territory and looking at some of these tools. So you're right here seeing exactly what I'm doing. You can see exactly what I'm looking at. This is crude oil in a daily time frame, and I can't stop staring at this right here. By the way, these are PivotBoss pivots right here. The PivotBoss pivots the way I like it. You can see crude has had a significant rally, and you're starting to see a little bit of weakness here on the highs. We've been talking about that 42.49 level, very clear rejection point the last time we traded it. We came V-bottomed right back to it. So this is a big time level. So basically, this is kind of what we do all day long, in the trading room from 8 to 11, and we pop in here and we talk these opportunities. So when you go to the member dashboard, you'll be able to click in there. I haven't added that link just yet, but it will be there ahead of Monday. Now, if you are already a Masters member, then you probably got a premium, a free month of premium or 2 or 3 or something like that back in the day. So if you want to get into the trading room, you can just pop in for 2 weeks. There's going to be $19.95, and it's a quick, just less than $20, and you got the first 2 weeks there, and then it's $99 after. Okay, so other platforms right there currently in development are NinjaTrader, and then upcoming platforms that will be looking to provide code for Sierra Charts, MT4, and Rancho De Niro. So for right now, we currently have the first 5, Thinkorswim, Market Delta, Visual Trader, OmniTrader. eSignal is partial and continuing to improve. And then NinjaTrader, I'm currently developing the PivotBoss pivots for those right now and other tools so that we can get them for proprietary training time. So that's an active development, and I know a lot of folks have been asking for NinjaTrader, so I'm very happy to finally start working on that and get it out to you. So those are the platforms there that we currently have, the ones that are coming up, and the current in development one as well. And again, if anyone ever has any platforms that they have any recommendations for, send them my way as well. So I'll take a look at that. All right, let's take a look back over here. So basically, if no one else has any more questions, we can pretty much wrap it up there. I didn't want to take a whole lot of your time. I just wanted to basically give you a better rundown of exactly the itinerary and curriculum that we'll be using for the next 6 weeks, beginning next Monday, April 18th. Again, for you PivotBoss Masters members, I'm very excited to see you all again It's been a little while since we've hung out here, but this 6-week training is going to be fantastic, and I know you're going to love it. For those of you who are thinking about becoming a Masters member, I don't think you come across offers like this very often, especially when it's a risk-free offer. So I think it's a win-win situation. Even if you are not happy with it after a week or 2 or 3 or whatever, I'll give you your money back if you're not happy with it. But I think that there's 2 things about that risk-free offer. Number 1, it helps you with peace of mind, and number 2, it shows my confidence in our training. It shows you that, hey, I'm confident you're going to love this training. If not, I'd rather not have your money, because that does not spread goodwill. I'm all about giving more, because the more I give, I feel the more I receive back. So I just want to let you know that this 30-day money-back guarantee is for real. You can have it back if you're not happy, but I think it's a win-win here with the great training we're going to have. I think it's going to be fantastic. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing you members there. And for those of you who are looking forward to it, pivotbossmasters.com/join if you want to become a member. Do we need to register if we are already a Masters? No. If you are already a Masters member, please do not register, because it's going to charge you. If you're already a Masters member, just log into your dashboard. Here's the dashboard right here. Log in right there, and it'll pop it up, and you'll get more information, basically similar information to this, in addition to the archive training. And then from there, you're going to see the dashboard morph into something pretty fantastic once the new training starts coming on board. So if you're currently a Masters member, please do not register. Please don't pay me. It's funny, but it's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really geeked out. So I hope everyone else is super excited about it. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to email me, frank@pivotboss.com. For those of you that have joined me today, thank you very much. And again, I'm looking forward to next week. Let me know if you have any questions. It's going to be fantastic. So everyone have a fantastic rest of your day. Unless you want to see a little market commentary here. If anybody wants to see a little something about the markets, maybe we can talk about what's going on here late in the day. Otherwise, you're free to go. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let's take a look here. Here's crude oil. One thing we were looking at this morning in the trading room, first of all, was how the market had basically traded very, very tightly in overnight trading. And it's the first thing that we were looking at. And we were looking at how flat this VWAP was. That was very important there, how flat it was. And anytime you have that flat VWAP right there, it tells you obviously you have a trading range market. So our initial inclination this morning in the trading room was fade new highs, fade new lows. You know, you got a new high beyond these highs. We were looking for it to come into this zone, and it faded early and came down. We were looking for price to come into this zone and perhaps take out these lows. It came in and front ran it a little bit and then took it out here. Then it came up here and found these highs and then slammed it back to these lows. So everything worked out exactly as we were looking for early in the day. And then we started to transition. And that's right when the oil inventory came out. And from there, we were looking at the PivotBoss bands, and namely the first standard deviation. Because prices were really trading between the first standard deviation most of the time. And then, boom, we see the volatility start to pinch here. And then upon that pinching is when we talked about the potential expansion into the upside targets. And here's our primary weekly bull target. So from the low of the week, right there, that is the primary target that has high odds of being reached on any given week. And it's usually 80+% chance we reach that target and then some. So far, once we transitioned out of this range, we got to push up. And then things kind of fell apart here once we got a VPOC shift up, basically. Once this 5-day VPOC shift up, we saw this thing kind of just chop around it and drop back down. So right now, crude oil, I think, is starting to see some of that toppy behavior that we were talking about in the higher time frame, because we're getting close to that 42.50. I think 42.50 is very, very important with regards to what we're going to see moving forward. If you look at this daily time frame chart right here, you'll see what I mean. Here's 42.50 right there. And that's the previous month's high price. And that's the top of this impulse move right here that we saw down to 35.24. That's our key range. And right now we're seeing a little bit of weakness at that zone. We're also holding up above a prior MCV just slightly here. I think very similar to what we saw here, that could be the case. If we do not see acceptance above 42.49, we could be seeing a move right back to the midpoint of the key range, which is going to be 38.86. And that could be on a swing basis, So something to look out for here. Right now, I expect us to kind of chop around up here with some rejections above 42.50. Above any acceptance beyond 42.50, further squeezes higher. So basically 42.50, there's some clear air above that zone into 47.92. So that's one thing that I talked about before, was that given how we rejected off these lows, given how we defended off this HVN, that even if we do see a pullback, eventually we could be squeezing into 47.92 because that's the next HVN above. And something to look out for on both sides here. With regards to the ES, something we were looking at this morning was for a continuation likely into several key areas of emphasis above. First of all, you had the previous week's high price right here. Here's your 50% pivot boss pivot. And then right up here, you have a huge confluence of key levels between 76 and 78. And that's what I keep mentioning before, especially on a swing basis. I kept thinking that the market wants to test 77.5 at some point. And I believe that we kind of get a little higher into that area, at which point we may begin to see some weakness enter the market, and then we see another rotation down. One thing that I was looking at on a higher time frame basis was how, looking at the chart here, ES in a daily time frame right here, one thing we were looking at was, if you recall some of the earlier analysis that we went to, and for those of you who are not members, the premium, the pre-market and the closing reports are all free. So when you go back and look, you can go back and look on this date, whichever date that is, mid-February. We saw a big time rejection here, and I mentioned, hey, if this market's going to reject down here, the next place it's going to want to get to is the HVN up here, because that's where the market wants to do business. So back in February, I mentioned we're gunning for 2061. And then I said, if we get to 2061, it's a big HVN. That's where the market wants to facilitate trade. So when we get there, we're likely going to get stuck in the mud and just trade and chop around. So that's what I mentioned at that time. That's what I continue to mention now. And so that's what we're doing. And, this is what happened in this time frame when we traded here. And if you back out some more, we also did it in a time frame before that August decline. So back over here, we chopped in that range again. So it's not, there's no surprise what we're doing right now. And so typically speaking, when you create a trading range, it's not going to be a narrow range. You can't do business in a super narrow range. What has to happen is you have to come up and take some stops out, then you have to come down and take some stops out, and go up and take some stops out, come down, take some stops out, and widen that range to a point where now it's wide enough to conduct business. That's what's happening right now. They tried to break down early in the week. It failed. They reversed. Now they're going to take out some highs. Once they get up to some highs, they're going to find a rejection point. They're going to drop back down. And now we perhaps get a trading range around this zone. I think overall, long term, we talked about it today in the trading room. Longer term, I'm still not convinced that we're heading higher. I was among some of the first to say that, this behavior here implied a move down, and this behavior here implied a move down. And so I'm saying the same thing again. I think we're going to do the same type of thing here and perhaps head down. And above 2100 is going to be the major level where we could see a major squeeze if these participants don't, if they get stuck over here this time and can't get paid, the squeeze could be on. But for right now, I think that after you see a period of 6 weeks of rallying here, or 7 weeks or 8 weeks of rallying, there's going to be a period of congestion. So I think April, May is more back and forth. And then after you see that back and forth, you may see a May, June high, and then perhaps a sell-off into August. Very similar to what happened over here, or, whatever the case is, even over here, what happened. So that's something I'll be looking for. But, early strength right now until we find the high, and then we're likely to swing all the way back against the range. All right, so there's a couple of ideas and some analysis here. Again, I wanted to say thank you all so much for hanging out. It's always great when you all take a little time out of your day and come hang out. So thank you so much. I know your time is valuable. I really hope that you consider PivotBoss Masters if you are not a member. And again, if you are a member, thank you so much for being part of PivotBoss Masters, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all next Monday. So again, here we are, frank@pivotboss.com if you want to email me and ask me more questions. But thank you all so much for hanging out, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, everyone.